How are we going, everybody? Well, big overhaul time here. I said to you I was going to clean up all the garden beds, and I have been doing it over the last couple of days, just pulling out all the rubbish, all the stuff that the sheep destroyed, and basically getting it ready so I can replant my autumn-winter range, which a little bit behind schedule I am, but that's okay. I'm going to catch up with it, the rest of you. So what I've done here, let me just get this wheelbarrow out of the way. I pulled out all the plants in here, and I had a big salvia, if you can remember, if you ever remember this garden bed, the salvia was right over to here. You can see how limp the spring onions are. That's because they were covered or smothered by the salvia and allowing them not to get any sunlight. So basically, that's gone. It'll come back with a vengeance. You can see it in that corner there. Have a look at it. Salvias, well, they grow like a bloody weed. That's gone. I've spread one bag of planting mix. Now, I've been tossing in my head and sharing it with the team here what we're going to call this planting mix, because a lot of you are confusing yourselves with it, thinking it's a potty mix. It's not a potty mix. It's a planting mix. That's what I call it, but it's going to have a name change. And I think I'm going to go with earth food. Basically, that's what it is. It's a bag full of food for the earth, whether it's a raised bed or the ground. It's exactly what it is. It's a bag full of organic matter, life in a bag, everything your garden needs. Now, you can plant directly in it, or you can just top dress your garden bed very lightly as a fertilizer as such for the soil, for the earth. And I spread one bag over here in pretty much, that would be 1200, that's 1500, 750 by 2.4. Do your sum, 7 2s are 14. It's 1.5 square meters here basically that I've covered with one bag. And I reckon I could stretch it out to 2 square meters if I go even thinner. Now, if you've got seedlings growing like this is all what you see in here germinating is parsley and carrots. They're the carrots. There's hundreds of them, if not thousands. If you've got that happening, you can still top dress, just as I have now. You can see some of the leaves have been smothered a little bit, but some of these leaves here like that are pushing through already. Well, basically, if you ruffle your fingers through it, it's a bit wet now for me to touch it, but ruffle your fingers through and you'll be able to get most of those seedlings out. Honestly, don't be so delicate. Don't be scared about ruffling the soil a bit like that. You'll be able to get them through. It won't hurt the seedlings. And even if it does, there's thousands. How many do you reckon you can grow in one little square meter like that? 1,000? I don't want that many. That's way too many. So some of them will disappear and the rest will push through, and we'll have a beautiful, what would you call them? A forest of carrots? Either way, there's going to be plenty there for everyone to enjoy. Now, another thing. I've been trialing different methods of gardening, all right? Lots of different methods, and I'm going to keep trialing different methods. The one that I grew up doing was in rows, you know, big, long, straight rows, not, you know, monoculture style where you got, you know, 50 meters of the same plant going about 5 rows deep. I'm talking about 50 centimeters, one row, maybe another row, and then change to another variety of plants. Now, I need to pose this question to everybody because I was actually asking myself as I'm going through this. In nature doesn't plant seedlings in rows, does it? Or plants in rows. You don't see it, you know, 50 meters, as I just mentioned earlier, of kale plants or whatever variety. You may see, no, you may not see 50 meters. That's exactly right. But what you will see is a cluster or a pack or a forest or a group of seedlings germinating together. Now, how does that happen? Let me show you. Have a look at this. This has to be a forest of parsley growing. What nature does is basically allow its mother plant to go to seed, it drops down, and then you get hundreds, if not thousands, germinating. Now, I did say 50 centimeters earlier, maybe 5 meters, maybe 10 meters. You may do 1, 2, or 3 rows, but then after that, you've got another variety growing. Now, it is not multi-species planting as such in 1 small square meter, but within 1 square meter, you can have 4 or 5 varieties growing and self-germinated. For example, here we've got 50 by 50. That's a quarter of a square meter. That's what it is. And we've got parsley growing, hundreds of them. And here we've got cos lettuce that's self-germinated, dozens of them. Some of them got disturbed because we had other plants growing over the top of them. But it's still lots more than 1 and 2 and 3. And this is a forest of leeks, folks. Look at them. There's probably a dozen in here. And these are not from the seed, as I told you before. These are from the bulb at the bottom or the root system at the bottom. And you can see more coming up. It's just starting to germinate. The seeds have just started to kick in. That's a bloody weed, get out of there. But we've got other ones growing in here, that's for sure. So what's my point here? I'm trying to work out whether I do this companion planting, mixed species planting, to get it all happening, so we have the, you know, the multi-development of microbes in the soil where they're populating like there's no tomorrow, because every plant requires different nutrient uptake at different stages. I get that. But we're not actually doing, and I shouldn't, and I don't want people to think that if you start putting a row of kale together here, and then a row of leeks here, and then another row of, I don't know, let's say lettuce, and then you have some mint. Well, maybe not mint because that'll take over everything, but something else, bok choy, and maybe some flowers, but they're in rows. I'm a guy of symmetry. Is that correct? Yeah, symmetry. I'll get that right. So I'm a guy who likes to have things in balance, and I've been trying to do the mixed varieties here and there and everywhere. And I've enjoyed it to some degree. I really have. Don't get me wrong, I have enjoyed it. So what am I saying to you guys is that I'm going to go back somewhat to my basics, but not extreme back where I do 20 meters of one variety and 5 rows deep. I'm going to go with my little rows here that I want of each species that I want to grow. And I have to divide these. It's not going to happen like this. So I'm going to need to divide these and line them up maybe, or maybe grow them across here, or maybe I just grow them in a clump here. And then I do another clump here of another variety, depending on how big they grow. It may be only just bloody one cabbage, because it'll take up all this space regardless. And then maybe one over there. So 2 cabbages, 20 leeks. What have I got growing? Some lettuce over here. We've got some lettuce over there, and we'll put some flowers in the middle there. It's not just 1, 2, and 3. And I don't think there's anything wrong with putting 5 or 10 of the same variety, provided you've got the space for it. Now, if they self-germinate, back to that point there, as Mother Nature has it, she doesn't grow them in rows. She grows them in fields. Like, they'll drop their seeds and they'll all germinate together. And I think together, united, you conquer. Maybe not too many, obviously, but when you've got more than one together, maybe 3, 5, 10, or 15, depending on how big they grow, I don't think there's absolutely anything wrong. Now, whether you put them together in a cluster or in a row, it's up to you, how you like to see your garden. Don't fill up the entire garden bed with leeks. That's pushing the boundaries, but at least have 2 or 3 varieties, but create some sort of diversity in lines, if you like, or in groups. So what is my point here, folks? Honestly, at the end of the day, the most important thing here is what I want you to remember, and what I've got to keep remembering is keep growing your own. That's all that matters really at the end of the day. Whether you grow them in rows, 5 or 10 together, and then, or you decide to sort of dot them everywhere to avoid the insect attack and disease spreading through, whatever reason you want to use. All I know is that the most important thing for us here is to grow our own produce and flowers. Don't get me wrong, I love my flowers too. I just focus on my veggies here because not a lot of us are doing it enough. And the most important part of our life is our health, our well-being. And if we're not going to look after that and we're just going to put the blinkers on and think, because it looks good, it's safe, well, you're kidding yourself, like everybody else who keeps buying the crap that's out there. But don't get me wrong, I've bought it too. Hey, I'm no bloody... I'm not excused from all that. I've done the same thing when I needed to, I had to, and I have. But it's something that I don't do often. So, when you garden, don't feel disheartened if you've been growing in rows all your life and all of a sudden you're hearing me and others telling you, no, multi-species planting, mix them up. Because I know a lot of you have been coming to me and saying, oh, I don't feel comfortable doing it. You don't like it, or you can't, it's not working for you. Well, don't do it. You're only growing in a small area. Look at this. Look at the size of this garden bed. Okay, let's talk about mycelium and the quorum of my bacteria, of good and bad bacteria and microbes or fungi that can attack your plants. When you say mycelium and it travels through and it's a network, it's like the what's it? NBN? That's it. The NBN. That's where they got it from. The mycelium network, where communication goes on from plants to microbes, from fungi to bacteria. That can travel for miles, literally. When you've got 2 square meters here contained, whether I put all my lettuce in here or dot them everywhere, it's all networking. It's still networking, as long as I don't just have one big bed of lettuce. That's the part where I say, Don't do that. It may work for the short term, but the long term you will deplete some of the main minerals that your plant's been taking up. And if you continuously plant the same variety, eventually it will deplete it. You can top it up, and obviously you can do that on a monthly basis. We're talking about feeding the garden bed, feeding the soil. But when it comes to planting in rows, just because nature doesn't do it doesn't mean you can't give it a go. And in controlled spaces, look at the clusters. They're not in rows. That's not in a row. That's just a field of bloody parsley about to burst out. And I have the same thing going with spring onions, leeks, lettuce, and the list goes on. And tomatoes, there's 100 tomatoes that have just germinated there, and I'm thinking they're going to go backwards, but they're not going to go backwards. I'm going to cover them, try and maintain them, but they're happy. So I'm going to eat myself a sheep in a minute. They're making me hungry. So what my point is here, plant what you love growing in your garden, and do multi-species if you need them in rows like I do, because that's where I need to go, because I have been struggling. Honestly, have a look at this one here. I've been struggling. This is my nasturtiums. I had tomatoes in here earlier on, and I've continued with the multi, sort of scattered. I've still got my spring onions there because they're all self-germinating and they keep coming up. I've got a lettuce that's popped up, and I've got about 1,000 carrots in here. Have a look at it, out of control. And then I've dotted it with some of the heirloom variety of lettuce that we have through the place. They're not in the perfect row, but they're there. And then I've got some nasturtiums growing in between. I've got some spring onions popping up in between. That's okay, I don't mind that. If you need to put one dead row in the middle of lettuce, well, knock yourself out and do it. And if you want to put spring onions in between, do a little bit of a landscaping design, well, knock yourself out, do it. That works. It doesn't have to be dotted everywhere. A cottage garden looks great, but not all the time. Because when they all go backwards, they all go backwards. And when you've got gaps everywhere, yeah, you can fill them in again. But I kind of like rows. I suppose that's my point. I like my straight lines. I like curves, but I like straight lines when I plant as well. When I've got them in rows, I know where everything is. Because I've done them before, dotting them here and there and everywhere. And I remember planting onions here, there and everywhere. And for the life of me, I've spent more time looking for them than being able to enjoy them. So if you're going to plant onions, plant them together. They don't take up a lot of space. You can put 10, 20 onions in this little area here. That ain't going to hurt anybody. So what's my point here, folks? At the end of the day, if you want to plant in rows, do it. If you want to plant scattered everywhere, do it. As long as you are planting in your own garden and you are growing your own food. That's all that matters. And using some good organic products for your soil, for your plants. And that way you benefit, the soil benefits, and your family benefits. Folks, stop using the chemicals, the toxic chemicals. Stop buying the crap that's in the supermarkets because it's full of chemicals. I mean, our autoimmune system's gone through the roof. Every bloody person's got a problem in their life. I'm sick of hearing about it. And you know what I'm talking about. So check out our website, theseedlingsgarden.com, for everything you need, and start growing your own produce if you're not doing it already. Whether it's in rows or scattered everywhere, it doesn't matter. From me, Vasily, Varesi.